Hello there everyone, this is I Am Mark III and welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program second launch, where I have an excellent view of the surrounding terrain. Yes, you could almost say I can see my house from here. Yes, I can, and I say that because we are starting off once again with another little achievement pop notice. So, I mention this because the achievement thing that pops up in Steam says 0.8% of people have ever bothered to get this achievement. But it's one of those ones that's like, you can pick it up as you go, really. So, the achievement in question is, I can see your house from here, and it requires you to get above 40 meters above sea level without entering flight mode. Now this is done by very, very arcane and esoteric means, so I'll just demonstrate. If you just pay attention very, very, very closely, I open the research tab, I click the matrix lab, I press space, and oh look, I'm suddenly higher. That's all there is to it. It's ye old nerd pole, as popularised by Minecraft, I think it was. And that's all you need to do. Though to be more exact, you just need 10 research centres on top of each other. I tried to do it with storages next to it, as you can see, but no, it wouldn't do it. They wouldn't go high enough. But research centres are bigger, so 10 research centres means you can get this thing as early as... As soon as I find the upgrade for it. There it is. Plus 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So, as soon as you hit vertical construction level 4, you can get that particular achievement by just nerd polling by 10 science centres. That's all you need, really. So, there we go. One little thing over with for the moment. Yeah, there we go. Let's get a move on. As you can see, I have here blue production. It's all good to go. The only thing it needs, though, is electromag turbines, which I actually stopped because my factory was suffering from power shortages doing this. So, getting this actually running requires the actual power situation to be resolved, sadly. So I've got this here. I've just locked off magnetic coils for the moment, and that stopped it from doing the thing. Though this setup by itself also got the achievement of producing like many thousands of turbines per hour as well, so that's also a relatively easy achievement to get if you start scaling up. Anyway, enough about achievements. There's been another update from Dan, who is continuing to build up his factories, I'm glad to say, and seems to be enjoying the game quite a lot, though he does say he sometimes has to take a break, like his mental buffers overflow or something like that, so the centre brain has to stop, was his wording, I think it was. Yeah, reboot the computer in his centre brain. Though he does see himself getting better, more efficient and quicker. Thanks to my inspiration. Yes, worship me. I am your god. No. I'm just glad you're enjoying it, honestly. But moving on to the rest of his comment, though, which is over here. He had a question, and that is the fact that I barely ever touch on rare resources or using the same in this game. Like, you know, I barely even talk about it. And why is that? Why would I not be doing that? And that is because, honestly, they don't factor in that much, usually. Like, in this case, we can produce here, which is one of the things this is why I brought you over here to look at it. This one produces silicon crystals, but it does it through both the silicon, refined silicon, and the fractal silicon. And that's basically how I get around using the advanced materials in production chains. I get the advanced material in, I build it, and then I have a priority merger, or try to. This one's not a very good example of that, but there is a priority merger back here. So that my system will use the advanced material to do it first, if the material's needed. But then if there's not enough advanced material available, I use the base material instead, and that runs off the standard ones. The crystal silicon is a really bad example, though, because it's like there's not that much call for silicon, honestly. So you're going to have a lot of silicon, no matter what. Where else did I do this? There is somewhere else. Oh wait, yeah, yeah. The other big place was the one Dan remembered, which was in making carbon nanotubes, which is of course over here. Same deal. Plug it in. Priority merge. So advanced material gets used first, then base material gets used instead because that's more resource intensive, and it uses the basic materials. But I'll be honest, there's one that I missed which I could really easily do, which is fire ice into graphite. Sorry, not graphite, graphene. I keep saying graphite, don't know why. And doing it that way. Whereas what I have done is, as soon as I find it, this is one problem with the planet spanning factory, you have trouble to find stuff. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, I'm only using the base recipe here rather than the fire ice recipe, and that's purely because I don't have a hydrogen vent on this place, or a way to burn up the hydrogen that would be produced by using the fire ice method. So that's why it's on a single thing at the moment. Now that I'm about to install that though, I am planning to actually do that and get things rolling a bit better in that regard. So yeah, that's the thing. Listen to me, I'm making sense, yes. But yeah, end of the day, you just get tons of basic materials. The advanced materials can help spare you some stuff and give you some different production ratios and things. I think I'm gonna plug in this port here, dock, and I'm gonna tell you to import another advanced material which I'm not using and I don't actually have any plans to use, which is unipolar magnets from, if you recall, our black hole visit. But this will demand and then supply locally, so those are ships launching from way out at the far edge of the galaxy and trying to get here, but it'll take them a while, and only 2,400 in transit. I'm guessing the local power supply over there has been burnt out just by that. So that's the other problem. Long distance is expensive on power. I'm going to have to give you some things, aren't you, as well? Yeah, I am. Stop auto-saving, please. If I want to maintain a reliable supply of those, I need to actually give this port to some interstellar ships too. And I'll tell it to also equip itself with the things. There we go, and demand to at least get some, and then this place will help launch them ships out to get it. But yeah, there's not a very good power grid at the far end of that. Got to remember though, they are coming from literally all the way over there, like 55 light years away, because I never actually finished the one on the black hole place. But yeah, look at that. They're just flying all the way out there, and there's no way to boost their speed. It's going to take them a while, to put it mildly. So yeah, I'm not going to have a reliable thing of that, but I don't need it for much anyway. The other one that doesn't really factor much yet is... yeah, that was it. So the crystal one. Here it is. Optical grating crystals. You can use those to make Casimir crystals, and I think that's the main thing. No way of making particle containers using unipolar magnets. I just don't have that kind of throughput. But Casimir crystals, which goes into a few other bits and pieces. Excuse me. But they're also used in ingredients in some structures. For example, advanced mines requires 40 of these things. So for that alone is the reason I'm mining the optical gating crystals at this point. I just want them for the advanced mines, and that's the only thing I care about. I don't much care about merging them into the rest of my structure. But that said, of course, got to remember there is another achievement, which I seem to be mentioning a fair bit these last few episodes, which is complete the game without mining any advanced resources from advanced resource veins. So yeah, you'd have to do that without advanced mines. And advanced smelters, though advanced smelters is no loss at all because they're so hard to get. But you get what I mean. But yeah, that basically boils up why I'm doing what I'm doing with the basic stuff. So, what you gonna do? what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a blueprint for these guys. Because this is going to be my aforementioned hydrogen vent. I'm going to use the good old ratio that Dan suggested to me, which was get a ring of 8 to handle 1 belt through. Got to remember, of course, that 4 belts is what's possible here. So, with that in mind, I'm going to be operating. I'm going to get 4 of these, strap them all together, and then that's going to be my hydrogen burn-off for this planet. Because logistics gets prioritised rather than interstellar, I'll be using that fact to make sure I deplete hydrogen from local before I deplete hydrogen from anywhere else. So, that'll do. Gotta remember, I need a way to get this stuff out of here as well, and there's also a little gap here, which I'm thinking maybe throw in mini fusion plants next to it, though that is slightly pressing it for space. Yeah, not quite enough room here for that, I think. So I can't double duty this particular bit as that and that, but I'll probably put some batteries or something in. But yeah, let's keep going with that. Because the next thing up is actually a question from Dammer. Which is actually something Dan responded to as well. So, moving on. I want to go... these tall things get in the way of the connectors sometimes. Let's actually extend this slightly. Right, so Dammer asked, how does FTL work in this game? And Dan's response was, he has his own little explanation for this. Fuel derives from gravity matrix, so I'm telling myself FTL is somehow gravity based. Since one of these warpers burns off during the course of a jump, I'm seeing most of it sort of like nitrous injected into an engine. So at the end of the day, seeing as you're cruising around using whatever fuel you like for general power and propulsion, and when you want to kick her in the ass, you drop a graviton pellet in the reaction chamber and hang on for dear life. Yeah, that was it. He then makes a comment about something unfortunate he said to his girlfriend, actually. So I'm going to leave that one to the comments. Thank you. Let's see, I've just popped that there, I guess. And I'm doing that because I want another line going through the middle of these, so this is going to be 1. Though he says, then he goes and says, guess you're not talking about the nuts and bolts when you look at the map. I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask and failing very, very miserably. Use this now, yes please. Let me just get these down really quick and then I'll get back to you. I actually want to put a splitter. Let's pop a splitter there. So yeah, that'll make it like a 1. And then I can use that to loop it back around. Okay, that'll do. I think this is one of the drawbacks of me trying to actually do it the way I do, which is like I was trying to read the comment next to me, and while I'm doing this as well, but the problem is, when you're building a factory, you kind of want to be focusing on the factory, you know? Yeah, that'll do. Right, so, guessing you're not talking about nuts and bolts. When you look at the map, decide where you want to go, mark it using tracking line, then head there using WASDA. Ion gets way closer than I ever do, but I am getting better with each jump. I'll be honest, the biggest limitation in the warp travel is really how much power you can generate. That's by far the biggest problem. And it's also the main reason why it took me like 3 jumps to get out to that black hole, because it's just so far away. And my power core just couldn't handle it. I'm thinking like down here is where I want it to be. Actually about here. Actually, you know what? I can double that up. Yeah, I can take advantage of that. I can take advantage of that. Let's just pop this next to it. A travel. Install hub. Because this place will need to be able to import as well. And I'll just bolt that in, like... Oh wait, this will have no proliferation though, won't it? 1 over, right. So, FTL travel in this game, how does it work? I have an answer ready because I actually saw this comment a few days ago and I've been thinking about how to answer it since then. And, well, the answer might surprise you, if I'm going to be honest. To get FTL travel in this game, all you have to do is research, I believe it's this one. Yeah, research drive engine, level 1. That's it. Drive engine, level 1. Job's good, you've got FTL travel. Roll credits, end of video. That's all the answer you need. No, I am being very, very serious. Level 1 drive engine actually counts as FTL travel. And I say that because of the figures that DSP gives us. Drive engine level 1 can take you to a planet in your starting system, an AU's or so away, in the whopping time span of sub 3 minutes. Yeah, sub 3 minutes. That's all I'm basing this on, sub 3 minutes. The thing is, though, that... Yeah, I'm having slight problems here, hang on. I'll just move this one. The thing is that 3 minutes, even, which is actually lowballing it significantly, and that's assuming you don't really wind up your mecha sail to full power. That is like 20 AUs an hour in terms of travel speed. And the speed of light is actually clocking at somewhere around 7.2, 7.3 AUs per hour. So, yeah, mecha sail level 1 is actually a form of FTL transit. I know that wasn't in the spirit of the question though, because yeah, that's not the actual FTL transit now, is it? That's not the good, quote unquote. Stop clicking, please. Oh, whatever. It's not the actual good transit, is it? Also, I don't know if proliferation actually helps these or not, but I'm just doing it anyway because why not? So, moving on to an actual better answer. And that would be that the FTL system. Well, I'll reference another thing here, which is a video from Spacedock. Don't know if you guys have seen that one, but Spacedock did a video about propulsion systems in science fiction. Early on this year, actually, like a month or so back. And towards the end of it, he talks about FTL travel systems in sci-fi, and that generally they fall under 3 categories. First, a drive that takes a ship beyond light speed. Second, a drive that takes the ship into another dimension that is somehow compressed. Or third, an external device that does either of the first 2 to the ship. So an example of number 3 would be a mass relay from Mass Effect. An example of the second one would be a warp drive from 40K. An example of the first one is the warp drive from Star Trek, which is actually what I'm going to... It's, I think, the closest approximation I can think of immediately to act as a reference for FTL in Dyson Sphere, actually. I know, but I'm reaching a little bit. It's like, are you sure you mean that, Sire Mark 3? Yes, I am quite sure. I'm just prepping this thing, because yes. And its output is going to be... where is it? I'm great at losing track of components and things. There we go. Output's deuterium. Input is hydrogen. wants it to get as much as it can, but it's going to local demand first. That minimum warp is fine. 50% load, so it'll always try and get a inbound personal transit with that. There we go. And then these guys will make sure it gets all stacked up properly. Oopsie daisy. There we go. So, why am I comparing it to Star Trek? Well, the thing is that this is a space warper we use to do the transit. And that is basically the tech that Star Trek uses. It warps space around the vessels in question. And also the tech you research to unlock stuff doesn't actually require you to upgrade your Icarus in any way, or your interstellar vessels in any way. All it requires is to get the actual space warper produced. And that is used to activate the warp. So what I think is the warp drives in this game can be considered like very early on warp drives for Star Trek, like warp 1, maybe warp 2, but I think just warp 1. I mean, all the way back to the original warp prototype piloted by Cochrane, the one that was converted out of an abandoned nuclear missile. That scale of warp drive, and that is your sail drive in terms of its overall performance. And the thing is, your Icarus and your interstellar vessels don't have a built-in antimatter reactant warp core like standard Star Trek ships do. Oh yeah, sorry, I should probably clarify. Federation of Planet ships, not Star Trek ships, absolutely, because there are some that do different things. I'm looking at you, Romulans. Anyway. So yeah, so we can get a low-level warp without any kind of kick in the pants, as Dan put it. Because we can power it that far, though only just. Our power core is basically kind of bad for this purpose. It just isn't suitable for it, and it just can't do it. So at low warp, yeah, we are basically operating a low scale warp vessel which can barely sustain warp. The true FTL though, when we actually get the space warpers, makes us more akin to a Photon Torpedo. Continuing the Star Trek reference here, Photon Torpedo. If you don't know why I'm saying that, it's because the Photon Torpedo by itself cannot actually accelerate to warp speed, but it has some devices installed called warp field maintainers or stabilizers or something along those lines, and that allows it to actually sustain for a time its own independent little warp bubble around itself, so it doesn't just suddenly decelerate to sublight speed as soon as it leaves the warp bubble of its parent ship. Because if it did, it would go forward, it would leave the warp bubble, and then suddenly decelerate straight back into the ship that launched it. So, you know, kind of bad. So warp field sustainer. But since we don't have the power to actually get to high warp, that's where the space warper comes in, and that provides the kick required for us to actually enter that higher warp field strength. The problem is we just can't really maintain it, and we actually constantly deplete our onboard power supply to maintain FTL travel at that speed, which is entirely why it took me 3 jumps to get out to the black hole, because my power core just kept depleting. On the Mecha Sail, it didn't do that because, well, Mecha Sail was harvesting enough light and stuff from the stars and things like that. Yeah, the physics is slightly shaky here, but gotta remember that in Deep Space Nine there was a sail-driven vessel, though I don't believe it actually hit warp speed, really. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. That's the one thing I didn't bother to look up properly before coming into this recording session. But there are solar sail crafts as part of Star Trek canon. And I think it might have done warp, but the thing is it accelerated it by the sun. So, I don't know. Point is, though, Icarus doesn't require power to actually sustain the low-level warp. It just requires power to change direction or to accelerate the lower-level warp. When it gets to high-level warp, it just can't do it by itself, so it kicks in, sustains it, and then burns out its power core multiple times over trying to do it. So, yeah. Well, burns out, it's actually depleting its capacitors, not overloading the power core. But, it's the same difference, you know what I mean. And with that overly complicated and somewhat rambling explanation, I think I've covered how FTL works in this game. There you go. Was that what you were hoping for? Was it all you dreamed it could be? I could have done a better job organising it, but I think that basically fits it. Like early Federation FTL drive combined with the warp bubble sustainers found in later Star Trek conventions, and that basically explains it. I didn't put down a thing. There we go. There we go. We have locally produced deuterium starting to flow. Perfect. My question is if I'm going to require... Oh, wow. Okay, good. It was just the build-up. Okay, fine. So I don't require extras for that. Noted. But yeah, that's basically how I see FTL in Dyson Sphere working. It's interesting, and it is, in theory, perfectly viable. It's just how it gets there is a little convoluted, because it is a slight mixture of several other things. Just get it down here. And for some reason it's now slowing down. So getting some stackers involved here might actually be a good idea. Yeah, I think getting some stackers involved is probably a really good idea. Let's go ahead and install one around here. Yeah, stackers. There. And that should let it flow freely, I think. Also, how's my power grid holding up with that? Decent enough. It's because the factory's not running. Okay. So yeah, in talking about warp drives and factories, mostly about warp drives, I've actually spent like most of the episode actually just doing that. So, as you do. So just give me a moment, and we'll double this up so that deuterium is being produced both ways around. But as you can see, we've got plenty of hydrogen still coming in, free and clear. I'm just not sure what the propagation actually does to this. You know? It's kind of odd. Oh, and also to answer an immediate question, I'm doing this because these guys are much smaller and cheaper than particle colliders, which can do the guaranteed production cycle of producing deuterium from hydrogen. So this is just cheaper to do than the other thing, which I can't quite do yet because I still need some more stuff to do that. Anyway, moving on. Right. I didn't want to round out the episode without showing some progress. So, this is the reason I was working on deuterium before. I installed this factory belt here. I didn't mention it. You might have seen me flying past it, but I've got a couple of lines here dedicated to production of deuterium fuel rods. Now these are of course being fueled with deuterium, however they require the supermagnetic rings, so We have some keys to turn and a whisper and a prayer, really, to try and do things. So, let's go ahead and fire up the Turbine Production and watch my factory scream. It's always the fun part when your factory starts screaming at you, isn't it? Local demand, check. Let the logistics fly. Off they go. Now this will produce the turbines. Turbines are required for a few other bits, but they should, for the most part, head towards the magnetic rings. You see some are flying off to get half of it, and the other half is actually flying out from actual magnet production, which, as it turns out, is a fair distance away. There is a slight problem, which is logistics drones go to the nearest points, usually, where stuff is needed or supplied. Oh, actually, Interstellar does that as well, but you can't really prioritise it very well. So there we go, that's up. Jolly good. Power supply is still alive. Production is beginning, and things are starting to fly in a different direction now to pick up some more motors. That's good. However, there are now inbound ships to try and pick up the actual turbines. Now, I admit I did run this between episodes. Like, before this episode started, I was running it for a bit, so it shouldn't require too much in that direction, in theory. Please, fingers crossed. This is not an optimum production line, I must admit. it's one that was cut short by running into the next production line over the original line, so, you know, it's not completely there. Where are the turbines going? The turbines are flying. I think it's towards structure assembly is where they're heading at the moment. Yeah, I think it is. Technically closer, I guess. And it's going to... yeah, this one. It's going to production of level 3 sorters. But, as you can see, it's already mostly full, so that shouldn't last for too much longer. But the planet is waking up faster and faster. Production is skyrocketing. Energy demands are going through the roof. It is... well, just turning that one switch and look what's happening. It's... the entire world is coming alive. Basically. So that's going into here, which is producing, of course, the supermagnetics. Where are the supermagnetics going? Hopefully due to deuterium fuel rod production. Though, I think fuel rod production is the nearer of the ones. It's ticking over. Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. Look at the traffic. Oh, nope, there goes one towards building production. Oh dear. Are you actually making fuel rods? Because I kind of need fuel rods now. No, you are not making fuel rods. Darn. I think I might need a priority split. To make sure at least one of fuel rod line is actually working. Let's check power supply. Yeah, it's currently discharging all available battery reserves, and the batteries are pretty much running out now, so the entire factory is starting to burn out. Yeah, I need a splitter. Emergency modification. There. I guess that'll do. Right. I want to make sure at least part of that is going straight into... yeah, I'll pump it straight into there. Right, that with this, half of my stuff should be free to go along here as a priority line. As you can see, I ran proliferation along here in the same way I'm now doing this, so I'm just doing it one level higher for this. Well, this will act as a direct feed line to get this stuff into here. Let's just tick one over, down 2. Yep, and yep, so there we go. And this should let us have half of the output of turbines going into at least some of the production of fuel rods. because of course the factory buildings are demanding more. Now, something to bear in mind, I never actually load balanced or optimized this setup, and that's because it requires like 20 deuterium per thing, though there is a 12-second cycle time, so it needs a fairly bulky factory line. The question is how well it'll keep up with what it's got going on at the moment. So, who knows? Who knows? Also, the fact that it's not actually supplying them. Okay. Did I not set demands? I don't think I did I? Because this is the last piece which I finished just before this jump cut ended, which is over here. I have got a bank of things, and I am demanding. I'll also remote demand. There is some available, but yeah, not much. And yeah, I've just been burning off the hydrogen stuff I picked up into my fuel chamber. But yeah, once this goes, this should make a considerable contribution to keeping the factory running. Especially if I remember to proliferate it properly. Doink. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Do your thing. Some more fuel rods. More lights. Good. More lights means more power. Thing is, these guys, of course, they're only like mini fusions, so yeah, it's gonna start doing stuff as we get more of these online. Oh, good, an interstellar ship dropped in. Good. Hopefully that'll get them all up. But sustaining them will pretty much depend on local production, which is still kind of lacking. Yeah, there we go. We got the entire bank working. Right, so what's that done to us? That has done to us 80%. We still need to get Dyson Swarm upgrades going on. So, yeah, this world just still can't produce enough power to sort itself out. End of the day. And on that absolutely beautiful note, that's probably the end of the episode, because we are at the 40-minute mark roughly. That's how long these episodes have usually wound up being. How are you doing? You are sustaining a decent amount of turbines in. So that means I think all of these are actually running on just that. Good. And as for fuel rods, you guys are shipping out as best you can. Every time you get 120, you ship it. So yeah, those generators help, but they are not enough. So next time I think we're going to try and do something drastic. And by drastic, I mean we're actually going to do the thing I was talking about a few episodes back, which is we're going to try and get something better going on in terms of the Dyson Swarm and potentially start our Dyson Sphere. If I can get the other advanced materials going. But Dyson Swarm is more likely, because all we need for that is production of the satellites in larger quantities. And look how busy this freaking place is. A lot of activity coming out of that one, which is the magnet production, actually. The entire world is now alive. Oh well, what can you do? But yeah, I'm thinking of actually going big with the Dyson satellite production, and just like maybe taking over the other world in this system, the lava world, and turning that into a facility dedicated just to producing satellites. While this is my general forge world, and this place, by necessity, it's keeping its design somewhat compact, but there is actually still a fair bit of space left to build in. But, I don't know, the idea of a production world does sound interesting. Though how we can maintain production of all the materials required is going to be another matter, so yeah. Oh wow, look at all those ships flying. Are you really doing that badly? Yeah, I'm not making enough magnets, apparently. Okay, I need more magnets. And with that cheery thought, this has been Mark B. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys have been enjoying the show. Oh dear. I need more magnets, very much so. Problem is, magnet assembly line is actually kind of big. So yeah, thanks. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll catch you all some other time. I need more magnets. Ugh. See you all later. Minimum load, definitely max that out. There we go, that's working a bit better now, isn't it?